we should write. I'm not sure. I could get called out really badly on YouTube if it's not became a federation. Nice.
Oh, where's my cider?
Where's your cider?
Ugh. Cut! We have been out exploring for the morning, but we are heading back home for some Australia Day shenanigans. But we really want to sit down and just have a real conversation about Australia Day and take you guys along for the journey. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. And if you haven't checked out our picnic by the reservoir, definitely check that one out because it was so beautiful. And I'm sad to leave, but I'm excited to go barbecue because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
The Lunchable we had was not enough.
No, not very good.
So let's go.
I'm looking at these there.
Black coffees.
Sorry, and was there anything else?
No, just can we get extra ice in them?
If you've watched our vlogs before, you probably think that we're obsessed with McDonald's iced coffee. We're not, but it usually is one of the convenient things that we do on our vlogging days because we're running around, we're filming a lot, and it's just quick and easy to go through their drive-thru and get an iced coffee. So that's why it looks like all we do is drink iced coffee. But on a normal day, we usually don't. It's when we're out and about and busy.
It's been summer.
And it's
sitting
it's
in this
summer.
hot car, driving to the next location.
Yeah. So that's why it looks like we're obsessed with McDonald's.
It's really not.
We're really not, but cheers. Just thought I'd put that little thing in there for anyone.
They never even make it properly. Every time, extra ice.
There's 6 ice cubes in here.
How is that extra ice? Now that we're home, time to have a barbecue. And the sun has come out for us.
We're home. I just changed into my fun shirt and we're gonna sit down and have a conversation. It might get a little controversial, but just a heads up, okay? We'll see.
So some of you guys might not know what Australia Day is. It's our national holiday. It's sort of like a birthday for us. It celebrates when the first fleet landed in Sydney Cove. But in recent years, it has become a pretty controversial holiday. So since it is getting so hot out here and this lamb is looking delicious and done, I think we should probably head inside and have a chat about it.
So we're going to attempt to do this discussion, conversation, whatever you want to call it. We're going to attempt to do this conversation, and I don't know how it's going to go. We've never really done anything like this before on our channel. And I just think that it's important to have this conversation, so I thought it would be cool to make a video and just talk about our experiences. But just a disclaimer that we don't know how it's going to go. So if this is not our best video,
it is what it is.
We tried to have
best.
a real conversation and not just give you guys a fluffy, happy, positive thing all the time because that's not life and that's not reality. So this food looks amazing. Thank you for cooking the lamb.
Thank you for unboxing the salad.
Yeah, I know. I broke a sweat doing that, but it looks amazing. We got a Caesar salad paired with some lamb and some tasty beverages.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, where's my cider?
Where's your cider?
Ugh. Cut. Cheers.
Cheers. Good day.
Yes.
Solid day.
I'm so ready to eat. So, Doug was saying outside that, you know, the tension on Australia Day is like a modern thing, but we did a little research and we actually realized that this whole debate over the meaning behind Australia Day and, you know, how it should be celebrated has been actually going on for centuries. So this isn't a modern thing that's been going on in this country. It is so relevant today, but it has been going on for so long. So we just wanted to talk a little bit more about, you know, how we've celebrated Australia Day, how I was introduced to it when I moved here, you know, how he grew up, you know, celebrating it, and comparing it to some things back in the States. Do you want to touch on a little bit why it's so controversial as we dig into this land?
Yeah.
I mean, as I dig in while you talk. I'm gonna dig in.
There were indigenous people that were living here in Australia before the English settled. So they obviously look at Australia Day as a day of mourning,
Yeah.
not as a day of celebration. And I guess when they turn on the TV and drive around the streets on the 26th of January, they see a bunch of people pissing up and having a good time.
Yeah.
And to them, the 26th of January represents the start of a very dark part of their history.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can say that things may have come a long way since then with the way that the Australian government currently recognises Indigenous people. Also, the Australian government pays out reparations to Indigenous people in the way of they get a tax benefit up to 16 generations in their bloodlines. But there is obviously a huge dark past that the English landing here that caused all of that.
Yeah.
So for
And
them, they see a day of mourning.
I think that there's still a huge ripple effect
Obviously,
from
yeah.
what I've seen and read. Such a huge ripple effect from when that day did happen. I think that there's a big gap in what you are showed by media and in everyday life on how Indigenous people are treated here.
Yes.
And
Yep.
there's a lot of Indigenous people that are being killed in custody, and that's a huge thing. And that came up a lot during the whole Black Lives Matter movement and when the whole George Floyd incident happened. That was something that really came alight to a lot of people, and Australians that I spoke to that have lived here their whole life, like, didn't really understand or know how severe it was when it came to things like that. Just feel like there's a huge gap. That's what I've experienced since I've moved here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as far as the modern day Australian government has gone with trying to make amends with the actions of the past, Kevin Rudd famously apologised to the Aboriginal people for the stolen generation. But just this year, there's the deaths in custody, there's the issues surrounding COVID and the way Indigenous people are still choosing to live their lives,
Yeah.
and the way that the modern world views COVID and tells people they should live their lives safely. It's a very controversial issue. It's
Yeah.
very controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's still mistakes being made today.
Yeah. So I came across this article from Mamma Mia, and it says most Australians associate Australia Day with a holiday. It said The Guardian in 2017 found that 68% of Australians felt positive about Australia Day. But the poll also hinted to a possible explanation as to why. And they asked 3 words to identify Australia Day. And a lot of people said barbecue, celebration, and holiday. And when it came to the First Nation Indigenous people, none of those words were obviously ranked in the top 3 of what they would use to describe the word, to describe the day. Their words instead were invasion, survival, and murder. And I think that kind of just highlights the contrast to what this divide is about. You know, you have, and for me as an American, it's very similar to the feelings of Thanksgiving. And as someone my mom's side of the family is Native American, it is a very similar feeling. But my family back home, we still choose to come together on Thanksgiving. And I think that day is just taken on a different meaning for our family. Because obviously we always have gratitude and are feeling grateful and thankful for time with our family. But as far as, you know, what that day means to its core and what it's, you know, what the label on the calendar says it is and what it's, you know, the nation celebrates it for, I think is very different from what my family might be celebrating it for. And I don't know if that's the same here. That's just personally what my personal experience with a similar situation was in the States. But I wanted to ask for you, like, and honest, like, what growing up, like, when you celebrated Australia Day, did this even cross your mind, like the Indigenous people's
No,
feeling?
did not cross my mind until I was about maybe 23, 24. So growing up didn't cross my mind. And, you know, then around 23, 24, that's when you start opening your eyes up to the world a little bit more. It's not just about getting pissed every single weekend. And when you're 18, like for me, it was about getting pissed every single weekend, and Australia Day was a great day to have a piss up. So no, it never entered my mind at all. You know? Yeah. And then,
did you see the protests?
Yep, saw the protests, and it didn't affect me, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, but as you grow up and you become more worldly, start reading more, start empathizing more, then you start to see how problematic celebrating on the 26th can be. And I, you know, for the longest time afterwards, would still celebrate on the 26th. But I think, you know, you can celebrate your culture on this land, but also be respectful of this land's past, you know. And a lot of white Australians will still call it Invasion Day colloquially because of the past, but still celebrate the good that's come out of it.
Yeah. It obviously takes on different meanings and has different levels of pain and happiness for so many different people.
Yep.
And if you were grown up, if you've grown up in a space that just always celebrated it and never really highlighted what actually happened on this day. That's not to say like what this person said, it means like the facts. What actually happened on this day that we're celebrating. If you were never in an environment that educated, you know, properly on that, or honored, you know, the people that, you know, were the victims in that situation, I feel like this day can just go right over your head as far as what actually happened on this day.
Yeah, absolutely right.
I think just talking about it is good.
Talking about it is probably the most important thing that you can do, because you cannot, it's almost akin to Anzac Day for the Indigenous people, where it's a lest we forget situation.
Yeah.
You know, like you cannot take the 25 million people that now live on this land and boot them off the country and return it to the way it was. You can never put put the egg back in the shell, put the toothpaste back in the
tube, put the cork back in the bottle.
You can never put the cork back in the bottle. Yeah. But if you stop talking about it, that is probably the most damaging thing you can do. You know?
And I think it is important to have those conversations, and I think what better day to have that conversation than on Australia Day, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it can help open up other people's minds and expand their horizon, I guess.
There's a big movement for change the date, and I think if you were to change the date, you would have this as a day of remembrance, and then another date, probably the day that we came together, as all the different countries came together as one federation, as Australia, as Australia Day. But no matter what, when you're celebrating the date that Australia came together, whether or not it's the landing, whether or not it's the day that we came together, there's always going to be a significant amount of the population that live in this country where that day is still going to be painful for them. Because whether it was the day we landed or the day that we became a federation, is federation right? I'm not sure. I could get called out really badly on YouTube if it's not became a federation. And the day that we became a country.
You're allowed to be wrong. You don't know everything.
That's
sorry.
Right. It's every one of those steps is a step of pain in the Indigenous community's eyes. So no matter what, you can't just sweep it under the rug and not talk about it.
Yeah, because I know so many people out there still say things like, "I was so long, get over it." That's not what I'm celebrating it for. And I feel like that can really like undervalue someone's emotions and actual real valid pain by just saying like, "Oh, it is what it is." Like, it's like to just brush it off and to minimize someone else's pain, I don't think is cool. So to be able to acknowledge it, and I think that in a way, us having this conversation, not really knowing where it's going to go, but really just having a conversation about this day, about the conflict and struggle and pain that is laced within this celebrational holiday, I think, you know, hopefully helps in a way. Like,
hopefully.
I just think that I'm all about meaningful conversation. If you are new around here, welcome to the party. And I just think having these types of conversations is important, and especially as someone who isn't from this country originally.
Mm-hmm.
I was never really in the environments that were having these kind of conversations on Australia Day. It was always just the barbecue, the hottest 100 playlist on the radio, and I just thought, oh, this is like the 4th of July. And yeah, but that being said, like, I think like Doug was saying, like as you get older, I think that the world just has more meaning in so many different ways, and a holiday isn't just a holiday, you know, it has more meaning behind it. And I think that also comes with who you surround yourself with. If you're, you know, surrounding yourself with people that are from different backgrounds, cultures, and all this, that really helps expand.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and the more people that have conversations about it, the more. Like, I noticed a big change in my friendship circle maybe 4 years ago, where like a lot of them would even refuse to call it Australia Day. They were calling it Invasion Day throughout the day, and we'd still have the barbecue and still have the drink up.
Yeah.
But you know, they just became more and more aware of it, and
Yeah.
I think, you know, as like clashy as that can be, because then you get some people who are like, oh, whatever, mate, just let it be. It still provides that
Conversation. Yeah.
It's still there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How we celebrated Australia Day growing up was we would try and find someone's house with a pool.
Yeah.
If we couldn't find someone's house with a pool, any backyard would do. The hottest 100 had to be on, which is the radio does a playlist all day long of 100 songs that people voted in for about a month, I think it was. They still do it, but they do it on a different date now. Just drink and do the countdown, play some street cricket. It was a really, really good day. And now, COVID has hit.
Yeah.
But how did you celebrate Australia Day when you first came?
Barbecues, hottest 100, something outdoors. It was usually outdoors with the hottest 100 on a hot day, ciders, beers, food. So I always looked forward to that, like, because it was a time that I knew that I was gonna go meet new people.
Yep.
And just have fun, and it was summer, and I love the heat, and so yeah, that's what I was introduced to it as, and I was never really introduced to it as like
Invasion Day.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And Australia Day has become controversial once again. Yeah. I feel like Aussies were very known for how laid back they were. And when the pandemic hit, if you haven't been keeping up with the news, Australia has brought in some of the harshest lockdowns around the world, especially the city that we live in. It's known from going from the most livable city in the world to the most locked down city in the world.
Yeah.
Now this has caused another divide in Australia. We've had huge protests here in Melbourne, we've had huge protests in Sydney, huge protests up in Brisbane. Lockdowns and mandates sort of go against that underlying feeling of freedom to some people, and to some people they sort of convey the message that this is the safety that we need to have that freedom. You've got Australia Day celebrations that are looked at as a day of mourning from the Indigenous people. You've got Australia Day celebrations that are looked at as some people as this country isn't quite as free as we thought it was. You've got Australia Day celebrations that some people being like, at least we've got Australia Day, we have to have these COVID safe measures in place. So there are many things on the 26th of January that sort of are tearing this community in different directions.
I think that like going into 2021, there was already a lot of tension in Australia. I think that it's carried on into 2022. So I think Australia Day is just another day where that tension increases naturally, just because of everything that he talked about. And, you know, so many people sit in so many different camps on so many different issues. And I think like certain days, like the 26th of January, Australia Day, Invasion Day, whatever day you want to call it, they just heighten those emotions. Like, you know,
it's a day about reflecting on what we are.
Yeah.
And what are we?
Who knows at this point?
That's Australia Day.
That's open for discussion. So
that's open for discussion.
if you do live here in Australia, how are your feelings on Australia Day?
Mm-hmm.
How are your feelings on this Australia Day?
Mm-hmm.
You know, more importantly.
Yeah.
How have you celebrated in the past, and has that changed? If you aren't from Australia, what are your views on Australia Day and, you know, everything that we spoke on today? Is there a holiday where you're from that might be known for one thing but celebrated for a different reason, or people look at it, you know, it's a controversial kind of thing? Is there anything like that where you're from? Let us know in the comments. This conversation was a little bit heavier than our normal conversations.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that it's important to have conversations about real things. I don't want to just come on here and just talk about fluffy, happy things all the time when there are real things happening in our world. And I think that, you know, having these conversations, you know, even if it is a little bit controversial, I'm happy to always have like a healthy, respectful conversation, even if someone doesn't agree with me.
I think it's better to speak on a controversial topic badly than just completely ignore it and act like it doesn't exist.
Yeah. This was our attempt to have a real conversation about a holiday that, you know, is really well known in Australia, and it's coming up in
and very widely celebrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we would love to know your thoughts. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. I don't know how we did on this one, but you know what? We tried.
I don't know how we did on this one either. But if you liked it, leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more of our adventures, please subscribe, because we usually are an adventuring channel.
Yeah. This is your first time around here, and you're just like, what the hell are these two about? DJ Adventures? This ain't no adventure. This is depressing.
This is a fun little bonus episode that we slid in there.
Yeah, this is I don't know. I don't know if it's a bonus or if this is just what our channel is going to be like. Us having real conversations. Sometimes we'll be having those real conversations in a van. Sometimes we'll be having them on a mountain. Sometimes we'll be in our kitchen. And, you know, we'll just take you guys along on the journey, but talk about real shit along the way.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't want to fit into a certain box that we can't have conversations because we're an adventure channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
So that's us. So if this is your first time around here, welcome.
G'day.
Thank you for tuning in. If you have enjoyed this even 1%, I would love it if you hit that like button to let us know. If you aren't new around here and you have been watching all our videos and you still haven't subscribed, I hope that you hit the subscribe button today.
Mate? Subscribe!
Hit the subscribe button. Log in, hit the button. Thank you so much to everyone who has already subscribed and who has given us feedback on our content so far. We seriously appreciate it. We're having lots of fun making all these videos.
Yeah, we are.
But I'm gonna go finish all this food.
Yeah, we're gonna eat. Bye! That sort of like ties
Can you pass
into...
it to Zuki?
Yeah, of course. There you go. Enjoy some of it. Yeah, that sort of ties into like...
Is it good?
The tzatziki, it's delicious.
Coconut?
Yeah, it's good.
I don't like coconut. No. I don't like it. Nah. That is not tzatziki. It's one big tzatziki.